is just fantastic.
Captain's log, subject 210705.2. I've come to the realization that it has in fact been a while since we touched Amberlynn Reid, and yes, I'm acutely aware that some jokes just write themselves, because no one's touching Amberlynn Reid, least of all her bather. On this channel I had plans. Plans included making a Mukbangers Wives video on Becky, along with Pete's. But for reasons that obviously stand out and you all know about because you pay more attention than I do, those videos never happen. I mean, I could still do them, but realistically there is no point at this moment in time. And it is because of one of these people we're now going to discuss Amber, who for the most part, when I've been compiling monthly sources on her for an end-of-year review, I've gotten very little, because she's been incredibly dull. Unlike Chantel, who has been the single most entertaining person I've ever seen on social media. Ooh. But of course I'm going to have to save that for another day. There's so much spice in that. So much spice. I'm not entirely sure where to start. I'm just impressed at this point you still have your feet and your nose. The same can be said for Amber, but for completely different reasons. About £100 worth of reasons, as opposed to that instant diet of Chantal's. I have in the past been quite critical of the relationships Amberlynn Reid has been in, because they all seem to follow a very similar pattern. Whereas in the first she'd break up, already have someone new, move to a new state to be with that person, live with them, eventually drift apart for reasons that are obvious. She would then start dating someone else before moving to another state to be with that person. This trend has followed for many, many years, and it hasn't changed much. The person she has dated has typically been considered by many to be quite simple, and I don't mean that as a pejorative. The behavioural patterns, very tomboy. Also someone who isn't very confrontational, argumentative. Someone that Amber herself can then abuse, misuse, and take advantage of. Any good graces they had at the start, the person she has dated, has been well and truly eroded at over the time they are together. So it is with this in mind, we go to a recent stream she put out about the breakup of herself and Becky.
Alright, so do you want to tell them? Okay. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. We have broke up.
Now this has gotten a lot of attention. It is the spiciest thing to happen all year between them. Not the same spice that Chantal has been using. One's a little more expensive. Now at the start of the year, Amber had talked about how she finally had a home. She was settled. She was happy, content. She had everything she wanted. But one of the reasons that they broke up was because she wanted to move to a different state.
It was initiated by me, but the fact of the matter is I've had a lot of time to think and reflect, and we just want different things in life. You know, Amberlynn wants to leave Kentucky one day, and she wants to see her family, and she wants to move to another state, and it's like, this is my home, and this is where my family is.
In my mind, this had a lot to do with her issues with the family of Becky, but also because she wants to control Becky from afar, i.e. take Becky outside of her comfort zone to somewhere else, and by doing so, isolate Becky so she can best control her, which sounds like some backseat psychiatry, but I'm almost certain I'm not the only person that has thought that. Within the stream itself there is a lot of air quotes, emotion and air quotes. I can agree with some of it being quite raw. There is some honesty within it, in fact. But if you ignore all of that, and you actually listen to what they say instead, you will hear Amber speaking for Becky, something which is later addressed in a follow-up stream together. Amber basically throw shade at Becky at every single opportunity, and Becky doesn't really respond to much of it, which is a sign of how much better she is to Amber, although we can all agree she has enabled Amber for quite some time, so she can take some blame there. But also how this is all about Amber regardless, and also confirmation that she really did want to leave the state she currently lives in, which I believe is Kentucky. Not entirely sure what state she'd want to go to next. I assume whichever one has the most conveniently placed cheesecake factory and place she buys those bedsheets she calls clothes from. I have to give Amberlynn Reid some credit though. She has been struggling with the live stream thing, which I find fascinating for somebody who can sit there in a pre-recorded video and just talk utter nonsense. But when on a live stage she gets a little bit uncomfortable, which I understand. But she stuck it out and continued with these live streams, which she has promised. It does make for rather entertaining viewing, especially when your breakup is so heavily monetized. Many people, when they were watching the live stream, commented that they were curious as to how Amberlynn Reid is going to look after herself. I had the exact same thought. But as Becky isn't leaving any time soon, it's always possible she could employ her. Or, and this is also possible based on previous track record relationship history, even if Amber says she is not looking to date, it is possible she'll find someone soon anyway to take up the mantle, the responsibilities, and the ultimate sacrifice. I'm kidding. I'm sure, to be honest, Amber does in fact look after herself and can continue to do so regardless of whatever input came from Becky. There was a theory being thrown about that perhaps the reason they broke up was being used as a way of re-energizing the channel of Amberlynn Reid, what with views flagging and being quite inconsistent and not anymore stuck in the triple digits, i.e. over 100,000 consistently per upload. There is an argument there, but she still makes absolute bank on her content regardless, so it's more than likely this is not a play. Just want to insert it because I know somebody has thought it. I just wished I archived the bloody tweet before I clicked off the page. I did notice in a video by Zachary Michael references to the pets. He quite rightly stated that the majority of them were Amberlynn's in the first place, and also there's a chance that they don't really need to be walked anywhere near as much as other animals. My view was always the same. I don't believe she should have any animals in the first place, because she can't look after herself, something which I've stood firm by for years, a point I will stand by forever. But there is some validity to them staying with their original owner, and therefore not with Becky, because some of the animals do in fact predate Becky. With regards to comments they made during their stream about the fact they're going to stay together, living together, that is, for the time being, for a while. Not the end of the world, really, is it? Many people had already started to theorize that it's possible Becky will go back to living with Tweedledee and Tweedledum, whose names I've completely forgotten. But the two guys they used to live with, the one with the dead trim and the beard, and the other guy, who's also just as interesting. Eric! That's the first guy, isn't it? Yes. It's always possible, but if Amber intends to leave the state at some point, wouldn't matter too much, would it? So I guess I should get to a point where I give my opinion on this. I am very surprised this took as long as it did to get to. Obviously I don't want anyone to break up, really. I'd love for everyone to be happy in every relationship ever. Sarcasm signed somewhere. But thankfully reality is eventually people either drift apart or get so done with the other person's trash that it becomes inevitable as a boiling point for it to simply go over. Becky and Amber are no exception to this. No one's an exception to this. And so with them going forward, it'll be interesting to see if Becky features in many of Amber's vlogs, or whether Becky will be simply non-existent anymore within this, because Amber has to continue to make her money from her content, doesn't she? So how's she going to do it? Is she just going to fall back on the mukbangs perhaps? Or is she going to live stream knowing she's going to get a lot of stick if she even tries to shade Becky once? In truth, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen next, but I am fascinated, and I hope you are too, so I do want to know what you think. Please do let me know in the comments down below. I'll link some relevant sources too. If I don't see you on Twitch tonight, have a fantastic day, and thank you all very much for listening.